You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Yes, you're gambling with World War III. The Washington Post and CNN, they're all over a statement that the Kremlin put out. And CNN's Christiane Amanpour and the Washington Post are treating it like it's coming from the burning bush. When you say they treat it like it's coming from the burning bush, Democrats don't know what that means. A burning bush? What is that? Yes, sir. There was a fun and interesting item in the digest in the Washington Post today that I saw. But first, I want to share with you the headline, page 11 of today's Washington Post, that CNN is just going to town with. The Washington Post headline is, Washington now, quote, largely aligns, end quote, with Moscow's, quote, vision, end quote, Kremlin says. So now the Washington Post and CNN are doing unfiltered Kremlin propaganda, and that's the business they're in. They've got Francesca Abel in Moscow. The Trump administration's rewrite of decades of U.S. foreign policy on Russia, which is not what has happened, not at all. So Francesca started with a big fatuous lie, laid bare in the Oval Office confrontation between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Another lie, two lies. Pretty good work by Francesca Abel there. She can pack a lot of lies into one action-packed sentence. Is bringing Washington into alignment with Moscow, comma, the Kremlin said Sunday. A shift that could upend the geopolitics that have governed international relations since World War II. You mean the United States pays for everything, makes everything happen, rides to the rescue of 500 million Europeans with, again, it's classic, and the Prime Minister of Poland said it very succinctly. Why is it that Europe, with 500 million people, goes to the United States with 300 million people to defend them against Russia with 143 million people? Amazing stuff. The new administration is rapidly changing all foreign policy configurations, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told state television on Sunday. This largely aligns with our vision. So now they don't recognize the Russians as sowing discord and division, because that's the job of the Washington Post and of people like Francesca Abel in Moscow. And now they've got Christiane Amanpour all over the TV peddling the same thing, because the Democrats, I'm telling you. Now, also a little item, just an update on Haiti, because, you know, the Clintons, they made everything better in Haiti. A little item in the digest, not a big story in Haiti. A specialized Haitian police task force hit the stronghold of the country's most notorious warlord Saturday. Haiti has a most notorious warlord and then less notorious warlords in addition to that, according to the Washington Post. Amazing stuff. Resulting in the deaths of several gang members. Prime Minister Alex Didier Fil-Almed said he confirmed the strike on his personal X account as rumors swirled in both Port-au-Prince and the United States that the target of the attack, Jimmy Barbecue Cherizier. Barbecue, they're going after Barbecue, is one of their leading warlords in Haiti that the Democrats fixed with the Clintons at the lead there. A former police officer who has become the country's top gang chieftain was either seriously injured or dead. But soon after the attack, Cherizier a.k.a. Barbecue, the cannibal, they left that out, released a video in which he confirmed he is alive and he didn't appear to be gravely injured. Wait, the Haitian police not telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's hard to believe, isn't it? He said police used explosive drones in an attempt to kill him. So they're hunting Barbecue. I also saw that they had, last year, they had so much combat in Haiti that they had more than 5,500 people killed in Haiti with the gangs against the government. All right? And that number, by the way, is greater than the number of Americans killed in combat in Afghanistan over the course of 20 years. But in Haiti, in 1 year, they had more than 5,500 killed because they're going after the gangs, some of whom are cannibals. But that's okay because, Democrats. Just amazing stuff. Our Democrat Party. Yes, sir. By the way, 7 hostages that were released by the troglodytes of Hamas are headed to the United States to meet with President Trump and U.S. officials and to thank President Trump and U.S. officials for their release, which Joe Biden and the Democrats couldn't and didn't accomplish. But pay no attention to that. Yeah, and honestly, the Haiti combat going on there, and everybody just yawns and goes to Starbucks and says, thousands and thousands of Haitians killed, and the cannibals are still kind of in charge. Isn't that amazing? But here in the United States, outrage after a reporter asked Volodymyr Zelensky why he doesn't wear a suit. Just amazing stuff. The BBC's covering it. The American news media doesn't cover it. It's right off of our coast, but never mind that. Yeah, and Barbecue is still alive and well. The cannibal, the lead cannibal, gangster. Isn't that fine? More than 5,500 people were killed in gang-related violence in the Caribbean nation in 2024 in 1 year. Yep, and more than 1 million people have fled their homes. But pay no attention to that. Let's get back to the Democrats because they're the left. They might as well be Putin. And the misinformation, disinformation that the Kremlin puts out is dutifully and faithfully parroted verbatim by the Washington Post and by Christiane Amanpour, my erstwhile colleague at CNN. Tulsi Gabbard, our Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, went on Fox News Sunday yesterday with the lovely and wonderful Shannon Bream. And Tulsi Gabbard was asked to, hey, what's going on here with the dust-up in the Oval Office with Volodymyr?
Really, there's two viable paths here. One is that this war continues on as it has for over 3 years.
Democrat
more
plan.
and more Ukrainians will lose their lives. More and more of the country of Ukraine will be decimated and destroyed in this what will continue to be essentially a war of attrition. And to what end? To what outcome? President Trump sees this reality. So the alternative to this, which he is so intent on, which he talked about continuously throughout his campaign, that the American people voted for, is his commitment to ending this war and bringing about peace.
The left wants war. They want death. They're the party of death. Everything from the extermination of 100 million people in the 20th century in the name of bringing about communist utopia. 1 million plus abortions in the United States every year. They harvest the organs. They should have death camps set up. They're amazing. By the way, my friend Colonel Tony Shaffer on Newsmax TV is reporting that Volodymyr Zelensky and the Ukrainians may have cut a backroom deal on the minerals with the United Kingdom when we weren't looking. Colonel Tony Shaffer, CIA-trained Army officer, special ops, said there's a battle of two narratives, one false, that Donald J. Trump set up Zelensky for the confrontation, and we should be outraged. The other, true, that Zelensky, the UK, and the EU were playing the U.S. because the British had already signed a deal that provided Ukraine security guarantees and right of access to Ukraine's gas, oil, and rare earth minerals, oversight of Ukraine's ports, and opportunity to invest in the rebuilding of Ukraine, signed between the two nations, Ukraine and the UK, Ukraine and Great Britain, 3 days before President Trump's inauguration on the 17th of January, 2025. And they were looking to succor us into providing security for their exploitation of Ukraine. That is, the UK and the EU. Look, hey, let Mikey will do it. Mikey will pay for anything. The U.S. and President Trump are not the bad guys here. And then Colonel Tony Shaffer, my friend, my pal, Colonel Tony Shaffer said, this is my Newsmax interview from this morning where I discussed, and honestly, so Tony Shaffer, a inside the net intelligence operative and combat hardened special operator, says, wait a minute. The Ukrainians quietly signed a deal January 17th. Joe Biden's president several days before Trump inauguration, where they get access to all of the rare earth minerals plus the gas and oil, and they'll provide security guarantees, which they don't have the manpower to do, and in the end, the Europeans will then turn to the United States and say, "You guys fix it. We can't do it." So if that's true, then Ukraine should go beep themselves, and that should be the end of our cooperation. Let the Europeans pick it up from there. Let the Germans do it. They know how to roll tanks on people and kill everybody, don't they? They're German, for the love of God. Let's go to number 15, Tulsi Gabbard. Yesterday again, talking about the... Oh, I'm sorry, we played that one. I apologize. Number 16, Tulsi Gabbard yesterday, talking about... And we played President Trump taking it to Volodymyr Zelensky. You guys are playing with World War III over here, and nuclear weapons and Russia and a commie, and they don't care about human life. And it's the 20th century all over again.
That requires bringing interested parties to the table to conduct these negotiations. Of course, both sides are going to have their arguments and their interests that they are fighting for. This is the reality of how these negotiations always occur during times of war. Neither side is going to be happy, very likely, with the outcome, but ultimately it needs to lead to peace. And that's what President Trump is so committed to, because he recognizes that the longer this goes on, not only are more Ukrainians losing their lives, but it increases the potential of this escalation towards World War III that he warned against as he sat there with Zelensky, saying that he's gambling with World War III, and that's not a cost that President Trump is willing to accept.
And where are the Europeans again? Again, 500 million Europeans demanding that 300 million Americans come in to fight 140 million Russians. And the Europeans, I mean, are you guys ever going to remove your heads from one another's dark and remote locations? Amazing. Tulsi Gabbard having none of what Zelensky is peddling.
President Zelensky has different aims in mind. He has said that he wants to end this war, but he will only accept an end, apparently, that leads to what he views as Ukraine's victory, even if it comes at an incredibly high cost.
Even if it comes at an incredibly high cost. It's a war with Russia and Putin. Commies don't care about human life. They extinguish human life more effectively than anyone. It's the one thing they do well. I've got the Speaker of the House coming up, and then you really have to hear the Democrats and the Secretary of the Treasury. You really have to hear the Democrats and what they're making of this. And then you will want to ask, whose side are they on here exactly? Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Now, because we pay attention to the world going on around us while we're on the air for 3 hours every day, Christiane Amanpour of CNN, who fancies herself a European. She was on CNN just a little while ago, within the last hour, telling their dozens of viewers why the Europeans are doing a really great job and, boots on the ground after the U.S. brings peace, I guess. And the U.S. is really, we're really backing away. We're stepping back from Europe. None of what she says is true, but they pay her millions.
The reality is that the United States has stepped back, at least according to its own proclamations right now.
Show me that.
The Europeans are doing it all, i.e. trying to come up with a peace
Europeans are doing it all.
And putting and pledging a coalition of the willing to put boots on the ground should there ever be a peace plan, and also to upspend money and finance to defend Ukraine. So all of that is happening overnight.
Overnight? Where have the Europeans been for the last 3 years while the war has been raging in their backyard? Because now they're going to put boots on the ground and have World War III, but no, only after a peace plan, which means that goes back to us. Well, when the U.S. comes up with a peace plan, and maybe Amanpour should look at what Colonel Tony Shaffer is reporting about the backdoor deal that Ukraine cut with UK. Just amazing. The propaganda and the misinformation and disinformation. Our own proclamations, we've really pulled back? No. We're working on a ceasefire, which would stop the killing, and that's the first step toward a peace plan. And you guys, and that all happened overnight. Really? We've been busy for 3 years. Where you guys been? Let's grab a quick call. Let's go to Donald, calling from beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. Donald, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Yeah, Chris, I'm concerned because the importance of the rare earths mineral agreement to the peace process is being completely underestimated. This tool, if you can just get valid to sign, will allow the United States an easement to mine anywhere on any part of Ukraine. And of course, the most important part of Ukraine is the parts where the Russian soldiers are standing on. So in other words, Mr. Trump, once that agreement gets signed, he can call President Putin and tell him, we've got this mining agreement and we intend to start doing assessments in Ukraine, and it just happens that your soldiers are standing in our way, and we need you guys to move far to the east, outside of the territory of Ukraine, and to get out of our way so we can conduct our peaceful mining operations.
There you go, paying attention again and being well informed. And you got more specifically into what it implies to have this kind of an economic agreement with Ukraine between the U.S. and Ukraine. And once the U.S. and Ukraine have this, and apparently the U.K. and the EU sneaking a deal in behind our backs, and if that turns out to be the case, that's another can of worms altogether. But you're right, because then it's us and them. Well, I have some concerning news. The Democrats have fired cannons on Fort Sumter again. They want their slaves back. Now they call them illegal aliens. Put them down in the basement next to the hot water heater in a dog bed, as so many Democrats do. All right, let's go to. I haven't gotten to the Democrats yet because they're having a lot of issues. By the way, it turns out that a reporter who is a Democrat has leaked the details of immigration raids in Virginia. And ICE says this obviously puts their agents in danger. Their lives are in danger because Democrats are leaking to the illegal alien groups the details of ICE raids upcoming. And you should probably go to prison for 40 to 50 years for that. Let's go to the Democrats. Aren't they amazing? Also, I don't know if I'm going to get to it, but out of Texas, an amazing story there. The Biden Justice Department trying to put a medical doctor, in prison for at least 10 years because he flagged doctors doing transgender stuff on children in Texas, which has been outlawed in Texas. So the Biden Justice Department decided to arrest the doctor and threaten to put him in prison for a decade because he's standing up for children, that the Democrats are the party of child genital mutilation and child sex abuse. That is the Democrat Party. But let's go to the Democrats now. Let's go to James Carville. You know, the raging, spasm, Cajun. He's got major mental issues. And he, on video, attacking President Trump, saying President Trump might have syphilis, the venereal disease that Democrats spread like peanut butter throughout their village, wherever that village is. James Carville.
It's impossible for me to ignore the events in the Oval Office earlier today. Trump had red splotches on his hand. The first thing that you suspect is syphilis. I'm not saying he does. I mean, let me be clear. I'm just asking questions.
Yeah. The interest of science. Yeah. Trump had red splotches on his hand. Therefore, only one possible answer, says James Carville, and the party of civil war, the first American Civil War, the Democrat Party, blood all over their hands. And here comes James Carville with the level of intellectualism that you can always depend on the American left to provide to all discussions.
It could be a combination of being a fat slob, which of course he is.
Fat beeping slob.
It could be that he can't sleep at night because his beached whale body can't allow the circulation it needs. I don't know. I'm not a sleep specialist or a medical doctor. But I think we should revisit the possibility of a syphilis diagnosis.
Yeah. This is the bimbo eruptions boy of the Democrat Party. Pound me too, boy. Just amazing. The Daily Beast headline, Carville speculates Trump has syphilis after mad Zelensky meeting. Yeah, Joe Biden died of AIDS today. Kamala Harris gave it to him. Well, we're just making stuff up, right? And it's just because this is what the Democrats do. And they have these childish taunts and insults. And at some point, the Democrats have been doing this for years and years, and Republicans have been nice. We put up Mitt Romney, and, you put up George W. Bush and John McCain, and they're all very polite. And when it comes to any party that is more inclined to be syphilitic, that is to be afflicted and infected with syphilis, the Democrat Party is eons ahead of the Republicans on that, the skeevy skanks that they are. And the Irish Star, Trump should be tested for syphilis after a Zelensky meltdown, says James Carville, because this is the level of political discourse that the Democrats insist upon. And they are the party of firing on Fort Sumter and the party of endless war. Only if you count the Civil War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and the 9/11, post-9/11 wars. But that was George Bush. Yeah, look it up. Pretty amazing people they are. That's your Democrat Party. Now let's go to Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, who will be boycotting tomorrow night's presidential address to a joint session of Congress, very much like a State of the Union address, but with a technical difference or two. But tomorrow night's presidential address, President Trump, to a joint session. Will Nancy Pelosi be there to tear up? Because that's what these fascist pigs do. This is the level of politics that the Democrats engage in. Nancy Pelosi, who I think may have died of monkeypox overnight. Did she die of monkeypox? Because she's in these group gropes all over the place. So I'm not James Carville, I know, but this is what happens to the discourse when the Democrats have a seat at the table, is the guttural, the vapid, vituperative, vicious nastiness that is the Democrat Party. And again, recall Nancy Pelosi tearing up her copy of the presidential address when President Trump did deliver a State of the Union address. And here comes Senator, and it's, he's got syphilis, because honestly, if anybody's got syphilis, it's the Ukrainian pig, who may have backdoored a deal with the United Kingdom and be, leaving us scrod over here on the side. But here's Democrat Senator Chris Murphy. He's from Delaware, of course, because
President Trump become a lapdog for a brutal dictator in Moscow.
Yeah, that's what happened.
It's got to be hard for Americans to understand how the White House has just become an outlet for Kremlin propaganda.
I just cited the Washington Post and CNN peddling Pentagon propaganda that they put out yesterday, and they are their little messengers, their bootlick puppy dogs, delivering the Kremlin message as though, again, it's coming from the burning bush, which the Democrat senator said. And they're still peddling Russian collusion on Trump. And I just played for you Barack Obama tell Vladimir, I'll have more flexibility after the election. Yeah, da, Comrade Barack, I will communicate that to Comrade Vladimir for you. Oh, pinch me. The Democrats and the commies have been in the sack together forever and ever. Democrat senator and communist, fascist, syphilitic Democrat Chris Murphy.
It is absolutely shameful what is happening right now. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin. Every single day you hear from the National Security Advisor, from the President of the United States, from his entire national security team, Kremlin talking points.
Now, sitting there with Dana Bash on CNN's State of the Union yesterday, Dana Bash's ex-husband, they had to break up because of the syphilis, I think. Nobody's got syphilis, except maybe James Carville. And Dana Bash sat there not saying a thing because she comes from a Democrat Party background. Her ex-husband, Jeremy Bash, was one of the syphilitic, I got syphilis on the mind, one of the Democrats signed on to the Felonious 51 letter, because as a campaign hack, he was given a fake job. Well, it's almost like a Hunter Biden job. As chief of staff to the CIA director, I guess it was with penitentiary face Brennan, the Communist Party voter, who undermined our 2020 election with a disinformation campaign. But there's Dana Bash sitting there nodding. Yeah, shameful. The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin, and our fake journalists sit there with their tongues hanging out, bootlicks that they are. Then there's another Democrat Senator, Chris Van Hollen, and truth is not his lane. Chris Van Hollen, who was on Fox News Sunday. He was yesterday. And Shannon Bream, I was watching this, and Shannon Bream let him go on for a little too long without interruption, but that's me.
I saw the meeting as a despicable display of bullying by the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States against somebody whose country is at war with Putin, a brutal assault by Putin, who wants peace more than anybody.
Putin wants peace more than anybody? Is that what he just said? That's if Zelensky he was talking about Zelensky, of course. If Zelensky wants peace more than anybody, then maybe he shouldn't have blown up his diplomatic suicide vest in the Oval Office while he was meeting with the President of the United States, his only worthwhile defender and provider. I mean, without the United States of America, they wouldn't have food, much less ammo. Just amazing, amazing stuff. These people. Amy Klobuchar is a dim-witted Democrat senator as well.
You know what? Either it was an ambush setup or they just got so hot-headed, the president and the vice president, that what happened. You know, it's the chaos of this presidency. It's chaos is up, corruption is up, costs are up. Just ask anyone in the egg aisle.
In the egg aisle? Is that an island off the coast of Maine? The egg aisle? Egg Harbor? And wait, he's been in the White House for how long now? For like 5 weeks. And the egg prices are because of him and the chaos. I recall 3 peace deals between Israel and 3 Arab Muslim nations. I recall peace in Ukraine and Europe and opportunity for prosperity. when Trump was president, and I recall chaos and war and bloodshed and children and women being slaughtered when Joe Biden and the Democrats took over. But then I have a functioning brain, not a syphilitic trap that apparently every Democrat has today. I apologize. I know I'm getting carried away because, Carville, this is the Democrats. This is the conversation they want to have, right? I'm thinking, it's like, I want to give these people a Doug Emhoff. His Secret Service code name is Slugger, Let's go to the radical communist extremist Bernie Sanders staffer, now former Bernie Sanders staffer, MSDNC, radical, extremist, racist, anti-Semite, Simone Sanders on MSDNC.
The former comm strategist in me says Democrats should collectively not attend, including Leader Jeffries. We'll see. I think the Democrats are going, and that's part of the dang on problem. Do not attend. Do not attend. Do not attend.
It'd be a lot better if the Democrats didn't go tomorrow night. Be fewer chances of gunfire and self-immolation and, of course, the spread of monkeypox and, naturally, syphilis, because the Democrat Party is a wandering petri dish. Petri dish. Amazing stuff. And last night, the Oscars, we actually put on the Oscars at home last night, and nobody's seen any of the movies that were up for anything because they don't make movies worth going to anymore. And so, the box office is not so much. Pretty amazing stuff. But Conan O'Brien, he was the host. And we were watching. He was fairly funny in the open, I've got to say. Not as political. And then they couldn't get there as a bad movie called Nora that won a couple of Oscars last night. Apparently it's got something to do with a Russian, but nobody knows because nobody's seen it. And he had to put in one left-wing lie for stupid people to gobble up stupid people like James Carville, who is he still victimizing women that are sexually abused by Democrats, setting up the women that he called the bimbo eruptions, that Bill Clinton sexually abusing all the women around him. And then James Carville spent years destroying those women, and the Democrats applaud, and they still invite him on TV to get his opinion about sexually transmitted diseases, which they now call sexually transmitted infections, because they decided they like the word infections better than diseases.
Nora's having a good night.
Nora.
Yeah, that's great.
Yay.
That's great news.
They won
2 wins already. I guess Americans are excited to see somebody finally stand up to a powerful Russian.
Yes. Now we should go back to Barack Obama. Tell Vladimir I'll have more flexibility after the election. I will transmit that sensitive intelligence data to Comrade Vladimir. Do svidaniya, spasiba, Comrade Barack. Just amazing. Our Democrat Party. They are not the good guys. Let's grab a phone call. Let's go to Will, calling from Skokie, Illinois. Will, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Mr. Plante.
Hey, Will.
A question for you.
Yes, sir.
They had this meeting. The Democrats, including Chris Murphy, Senator Chris Murphy, had a meeting with Vladimir before Trump's meeting in the Oval Office. And they were talking to him to basically reject the deal unless he got, all these guarantees. Isn't that a violation of the Logan Act? Isn't that something that the Democrats wanted to go after Trump for? Excuse me, way back his first term, they had that general who was going to be his guy in charge of intelligence, and he was talking to a Russian ambassador before he was in office. That's a violation of the Logan Act.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you're absolutely, yeah. It was General Michael Flynn, incoming National Security Advisor, who spoke with on the telephone with the Russian ambassador to the United States. Yeah. And you're 100% right. The Democrats tried to put General Flynn, a career Army officer, 3-star general, director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and they tried to put him in prison because they're basically communists, aren't they, Will?
I mean, yeah, you're talking about unconstitutional. The Constitution says the president is the only one who can negotiate foreign policy. So, I mean, we should get Bondi on that and see about an indictment. especially Murphy is now. By the way, he's saying no, we never had this meeting, but there's pictures. It's on X. Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. Well, were it not for double standards, as we know, liberals would have no standards at all, and the left, they're basically, who's doing more for Putin now? Yep. Trump is trying to stop war. The Democrats are trying to make sure that there is no way to stop this war. The left. Sorry, Will. Oh, bye. He said bye. Because he's polite, because he's a nice guy. He's from Skokie, Illinois, just north shore of Chicago, Illinois there. You may remember where those Nargis marched a long time ago. The Socialist Workers' Party, as they called themselves. But, yeah, Senator Chris Murphy, who is boycotting the joint address to Congress tomorrow, along with a bunch of other Democrats. And it's really better that way because they are not on Team America. Boy, are they not on Team America. And if they think, oh, we're for Ukraine. You're for endless war.
Unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House. And as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States.
Now, Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, who will be boycotting the address to the nation tomorrow night because he's with Putin. He's a Putin lapdog. He was one of the Democrats that met with Zelensky before Zelensky went to the White House. And I believe that the great one, Mark Levin, has been talking about this as well. It looks as though, and it is being suggested now, that the Democrats, including boycott Senator Chris Murphy, that they may have urged Volodymyr Zelensky to go into the Oval Office and be rude and blow up the whole project, because then the Democrats will make vague promises of future grandiosity. And it will all be a lie, of course, but what does Zelensky know about the Democrats? And the Democrats, they're spending all their time attacking Trump and making stuff up. And they're, once again, it's the old projection thing with syphilis, I think. The Democrats, definitely the party of venereal diseases and infections. Remarkable stuff. So he met with a group of senators, Democrats, prior to the White House meeting. Did the Democrats sabotage the whole project? Certainly wouldn't be beneath them. There's pretty much nothing beneath them. If you look beneath them, you might find transgender children. But that's another discussion for another day. Aren't they amazing? Oh, yeah, speaking of which, there's another transgender lunatic, exposing himself at gyms and stuff. Democrats.